I have yet to see a single example of Angel Reese being a leader outside of rebounding her own missed layups. What does Angel Reese do? What is her contribution? You tell me, because I'm not seeing it. I know I'm harsh on Angel Reese, but she considers herself a star. If you're going to call yourself a star, I expect you to perform like a star, especially in big moments. Caitlin Clark was injured. Angel Reese was the only star on the court last night. And for 27 minutes, she completely disappeared. This might have been the first WNBA game broadcast on CBS in prime time. If it's not the first, it's one of very few. This was a big moment. I'm sure the WNBA would call it historic. Angel Reese is playing in an NBA arena in prime time on network television on Saturday night. Outside of regular season baseball, maybe the College World Series, there was no competition on television. The eyes of the sports world were focused on Angel Reese in the WNBA. And Angel Reese once again proved why no one is...
What just happened on live television has the entire sports world in shock. Angel Reese, one of the most talked about and controversial names in women's basketball right now, found herself at the center of a moment nobody saw coming, and it unfolded in real time, in front of millions. Just minutes ago, cameras caught everything after a brutal blowout loss, and fans are saying this could be a turning point in her career. The game itself was bad enough. From the opening minutes, it was clear things weren't going her way. Missed opportunities, visible frustration, and a scoreboard that kept getting uglier by the second. But it wasn't just the loss that stunned viewers, it was what happened after. As the broadcast stayed live, emotions boiled over, and Angel Reese appeared completely exposed in a moment she couldn't control or walk away from. Social media exploded instantly. Clips began circulating within seconds, with fans replaying the footage and arguing over what it really meant. Some say she was finally exposed. Others say she was pushed to a breaking point. Either way, the reactions were brutal. Comment sections filled with harsh criticism, debates about attitude, and questions about whether the pressure has finally caught up to her on the biggest stage. What made this moment even more intense is Angel Reese's image. She's never been just another player. She's been a headline, a personality, a lightning rod for attention. Confidence, swagger, and controversy have followed her everywhere. But live TV doesn't care about branding. When the cameras are rolling and the loss is undeniable, there's nowhere to hide. And viewers saw a version of Angel Reese they weren't used to seeing. Analysts are already weighing in, calling this one of the most uncomfortable live moments of the season. Some are questioning her leadership. Others are asking whether the spotlight has become too heavy. And a growing number of fans are asking the most dangerous question of all: has the narrative finally turned against her? In this video, we're breaking down exactly what happened during that blowout loss, what viewers saw live on air, why reactions have been so extreme, and what this moment could mean for Angel Reese moving forward. Because love her or hate her, one thing is clear: after this, nothing feels the same. The blowout loss itself told one story, but what unfolded around Angel Reese told a much bigger one. From the opening tip, it was clear the game was slipping away fast. The opposing team came out sharper, faster, and far more disciplined, while Angel Reese's squad struggled to find any rhythm. Defensive breakdowns piled up, shots refused to fall, and the scoreboard quickly became a constant reminder that this wasn't going to be a close contest. Every timeout felt heavier than the last, and with each passing minute, the pressure on Angel Reese visibly increased. Cameras followed her closely, as they always do. Every reaction, every facial expression, every exchange with teammates was magnified. Early on, she tried to keep the same confident demeanor fans were used to seeing. She clapped, encouraged, and pushed through frustration. But as the deficit grew larger, that confidence began to crack. Missed rebounds that normally would have been automatic. Forced shots that only made things worse. A body language shift that viewers at home couldn't ignore. This wasn't the dominant Angel Reese fans expected. This was someone clearly rattled by how badly things were going. By halftime, the game was already bordering on embarrassing. Analysts on the broadcast began changing their tone, moving from strategy talk to damage control commentary. Instead of discussing adjustments, they started talking about pride, composure, and finishing the game with professionalism. That shift alone spoke volumes. When commentators stop talking about winning and start talking about how you respond, it usually means the outcome is already decided. The second half only intensified the spotlight. Every time Angel Reese touched the ball, the crowd reacted. Every miss drew groans. Every turnover felt louder than the last. You could see frustration boiling over, not just at the opponent, but at herself. She argued calls, slammed the ball after whistles, and stared down the bench during substitutions. On a normal night, those moments might be overlooked. On live television, during a blowout, they became defining images. Then came the moment that set everything on fire. As the final minutes ticked down and the loss was beyond salvageable, cameras caught a raw, unfiltered exchange on the sideline. Whether it was a heated conversation, visible emotional breakdown, or an uncomfortable reaction to a question on live broadcast, viewers immediately sensed something was off. The energy shifted. The broadcast lingered. The silence felt awkward. And in that instant, the narrative exploded. Social media reacted faster than the final buzzer. Clips spread with captions calling it an exposure moment. Others labeled it unfair, saying no athlete should be judged solely on one bad night. But the volume of criticism was impossible to ignore. Fans who had already been critical of Angel Reese felt validated, pointing to this moment as proof that her confidence doesn't always match her performance. Supporters rushed to her defense, arguing that intense scrutiny and constant pressure finally pushed her past a breaking point. What made this moment hit harder than previous criticism was the context. Angel Reese isn't just another player, she's a symbol. To some, she represents confidence and empowerment. To others, she represents arrogance and hype. That split has followed her everywhere, and this blowout loss poured gasoline on it. A bad game became a referendum on her entire persona. One emotional moment became fuel for claims that she can't handle adversity. Former players and analysts weighed in almost immediately. Some pointed out that even the greatest athletes have nights like this, and that judging someone at their lowest is lazy. Others were less forgiving, saying leadership shows most clearly in defeat, not victory. The debate wasn't really about basketball anymore, it was about maturity, pressure, and whether Angel Reese's approach invites this kind of scrutiny. As the final buzzer sounded, the damage was already done. The loss went into the record books, but the images stayed online. Screenshots, slow-motion replays, and reaction videos flooded timelines. For Angel Reese, the walk off the court wasn't just the end of a game. It felt like the beginning of a new chapter in how she's perceived. This wasn't just about losing big. It was about losing control of the narrative, even for a moment. And in today's media-driven sports world, moments like that don't disappear. They linger, they evolve, and they shape what comes next. The question now isn't whether this was a bad night, it's whether this night will define the next phase of Angel Reese's career. The fallout didn't wait until the next morning. It began before Angel Reese even made it to the locker room. As cameras cut back to the studio, analysts were already replaying key moments from the blowout, slowing down clips, zooming in on reactions, and dissecting body language frame by frame. What could have been brushed off as competitive frustration on any other night suddenly became evidence. Evidence of pressure. Evidence of cracks. Evidence, according to critics, that Angel Reese wasn't handling the spotlight as well as she claimed. Once the post-game interviews started, the tension only grew. Angel Reese stepped in front of the mic with the eyes of millions watching live. Her voice was calm, but the weight of the night was obvious. When asked about the loss, she didn't dodge responsibility, but she also didn't sugarcoat anything. She talked about accountability, about needing to be better, about how unacceptable the performance was. To some viewers, that honesty was refreshing. To others, it sounded defensive. And in the world of viral sports media, tone often matters more than truth. Clips from that interview spread fast. Certain lines were taken out of context and slapped with captions designed to spark outrage. A pause became attitude. A short answer became disrespect. Within an hour, hashtags were trending. Reaction videos flooded TikTok and YouTube, some with thoughtful breakdowns, others clearly chasing clicks. The phrase "she's finished" started popping up more and more, dramatic, exaggerated, but powerful enough to stick in casual conversations. Former athletes entered the discussion next, and their takes carried weight. Some defended Angel Reese fiercely, reminding fans how young she still is and how brutal the pressure can be when you're both a star player and a cultural lightning rod. They talked about mental fatigue, about the unrealistic expectations placed on her to dominate every single night. Others were more critical, pointing out that leadership isn't just about stats, it's about composure, especially when things go wrong. They argued that this game exposed areas she still needs to grow in if she wants to be seen as an all-time great. Meanwhile, opposing fans had a field day. The blowout score became a meme. Screenshots of missed shots and frustrated expressions were reposted with sarcastic captions. Old rivalries resurfaced, and past controversies were dragged back into the spotlight. For people who had been waiting for Angel Reese to stumble, this felt like the moment they'd been waiting for. A single bad night turned into a pile-on. But behind the noise, something else was happening. Teammates quietly spoke up in support of her. Coaches emphasized that one player doesn't lose a game alone. Insiders reported that the locker room remained united, even shaken. Practices that followed were described as intense but focused, no finger-pointing, no excuses. Angel Reese reportedly stayed late, watched film, and took ownership in ways cameras never capture. The bigger issue, though, wasn't just basketball. It was narrative control. Angel Reese has always been marketed as bold, confident, unapologetic. That same confidence, when paired with a humiliating loss, suddenly got reframed as arrogance. The media pendulum swung hard, and it swung fast. One week she was celebrated as the face of the future. The next, she was being questioned as overrated and mentally fragile. This is the dangerous part of modern sports culture. The line between critique and character assassination gets blurred. Fans forget that athletes are humans processing emotions in real time, not scripted characters in a movie. A rough performance becomes a personality flaw. Frustration becomes a meltdown. And once that label sticks, it's incredibly hard to shake. Angel Reese herself didn't go silent, but she didn't overreact either. Her social media activity slowed, and when she did post, it was controlled and intentional. No long rants, no shots fired, just subtle messages about resilience, growth, and blocking out the noise. To supporters, that was maturity. To critics, it was damage control. Either way, it showed she understood the moment she was in. What made this situation even more intense was timing. This wasn't early season. This wasn't a meaningless game. Expectations were high, and eyes were already locked in. A blowout loss at this stage hits different. It doesn't just affect standings, it affects perception, legacy, and confidence. And for a player constantly compared to legends and rivals, perception matters almost as much as performance. By the end of the week, the conversation had evolved. Instead of what went wrong in the game, people were asking what happens next. Is this a turning point? A humbling experience that fuels growth? Or the first sign that the pressure is finally catching up? Those questions hovered over every highlight, every preview, every mention of her name. One thing was undeniable. Angel Reese was no longer just reacting to a bad loss. She was responding to a moment that challenged how she sees herself and how the world sees her. And the true test wouldn't come in interviews or tweets, it would come in the next game, when the lights turn back on and the ball is back in her hands. Because in elite sports, redemption doesn't come from explanations. It comes from response. The week following Angel Reese's blowout loss was a whirlwind of media coverage, social media debates, and endless analysis. Every highlight clip, every sideline reaction, and every facial expression from the game was dissected repeatedly. Sports networks played her mistakes on loops, commentators debated her composure, and fans on social media argued over what the loss meant for her career. One bad game had now transformed into a full-blown narrative about whether Angel Reese could handle the pressure of being in the spotlight at the highest level. Inside her team's environment, the reaction was a mixture of support and reflection. Coaches emphasized that while the loss was significant, it was a learning moment, an opportunity to regroup and grow stronger. Teammates offered encouragement, sharing messages to remind her of the work she had put in, the victories she had achieved, and the influence she had on younger athletes watching her play. But even with that support, Angel Reese reportedly spent long hours reviewing the game tape herself, scrutinizing every decision, every missed shot, and every defensive lapse. The level of accountability she imposed on herself demonstrated a maturity beyond her years, but it also highlighted just how much pressure she carried alone. Meanwhile, the cultural conversation around her intensified. Angel Reese has never been just a player. She has always been a symbol. Confident, outspoken, and bold, she represents a new wave of athletes unafraid to embrace their personality both on and off the court. That same energy that fueled her rise now worked against her. Critics, already primed to challenge her every move, used this loss as proof that her confidence may be masking vulnerability. Social media was flooded with comments, memes, and opinion videos framing this moment as the first crack in her armor. For fans, it was difficult to separate the performance from the persona. The two had always been intertwined. Some former players and analysts weighed in with measured perspectives. They reminded audiences that even the best athletes have games like this and that judging someone's career on a single performance is short-sighted. Others argued that leadership is defined in adversity, not in victories. The loss, in this sense, became a test not only of her skills but of her mental resilience. Could Angel Reese rebound and reclaim her narrative, or would this moment define her legacy in the eyes of the public? The pressure from external forces was compounded by the fact that the game was televised live. Unlike other mistakes that can be replayed privately or forgotten quickly, this was broadcast in front of millions, preserved in video clips that would continue circulating indefinitely. Every movement, every reaction, and every micro-expression was scrutinized repeatedly. Moments that would have been forgotten in an ordinary context became fodder for viral discussion. Fans debated whether her frustration, her body language, or her responses were signs of weakness or signs of humanity. Angel Reese's social media presence became a key part of the discussion. She posted carefully curated messages about resilience, learning from failure, and focusing on growth. While some interpreted these posts as a display of accountability, others labeled them damage control. Either way, it was clear that she was aware of the narrative forming and was taking steps to influence it. In an era where perception can shape reality, her posts became as much a part of the story as the game itself. The incident also sparked broader debates within women's sports communities. Commentators discussed the unique pressures female athletes face when they become public figures, noting that expectations for composure and professionalism are often unreasonably high. Some analysts emphasized that Angel Reese, despite her youth, had been thrust into a position where every action is amplified and every mistake judged harshly. For young athletes looking up to her, the situation served as a lesson in both accountability and perseverance. Fans' reactions varied widely. Some doubled down on support, reminding each other of her accomplishments and arguing that one game doesn't erase a career. Others were more critical, viewing the loss as confirmation that she struggles under pressure. These polarized reactions created a feedback loop, where the narrative around Angel Reese continued evolving as quickly as social media could propagate it. Each clip, each tweet, and each analysis segment reinforced different parts of the story, making it impossible for anyone to ignore. By the end of the week, the conversation had shifted from shock and outrage to reflection and anticipation. Everyone wanted to see how she would respond in her next performance. Would she come back stronger, demonstrating resilience and leadership? Or would the loss continue to haunt her, impacting confidence and public perception? That question hung over every practice, every interview, and every media segment about her. One thing became abundantly clear: this was not just a bad game. It was a defining moment in Angel Reese's career. It tested her mental toughness, her ability to manage external pressures, and her skill in controlling her narrative. How she responds next will determine whether this loss is remembered as a temporary setback or as a turning point that shapes her legacy for years to come. And while the blowout has sparked intense debate, it has also reminded the world of the high stakes of live sports, where every performance is magnified, every reaction scrutinized, and every moment has the potential to redefine an athlete's story forever. Angel Reese now stands at that crossroads, and millions of eyes will be watching to see which path she chooses. The days following Angel Reese's blowout loss were marked by a mixture of intense scrutiny, personal reflection, and cultural commentary. Every highlight, sideline reaction, and post-game interview was dissected by analysts, commentators, and fans alike. In the digital age, a single performance doesn't exist in isolation. It becomes a permanent record that can define public perception for months, even years. For Angel Reese, this loss wasn't just about the final score. It was about the narrative being built around her, one that questioned her composure, leadership, and ability to handle pressure on the biggest stages. Inside the team environment, coaches and staff worked to strike a balance between accountability and support. While the loss was undeniably severe, the focus shifted toward growth and preparation for future games. Practices were more intense, emphasizing fundamentals, communication, and mental toughness. Teammates offered guidance and encouragement, reminding Angel Reese of her strengths and the impact she had already made on the program. It was clear that while criticism raged outside, within the team she was still valued, respected, and seen as capable of rebounding stronger than before. Despite this internal support, the external pressure remained unrelenting. Social media amplified the negative narrative, highlighting missed shots, visible frustration, and every micro-expression during the game. Memes and viral clips spread rapidly, often detached from context, shaping opinions for audiences who didn't witness the full game. Fans debated whether her emotional reactions were signs of weakness or simply the natural response of a young athlete under extreme pressure. The same traits that had previously been celebrated, intensity, passion, and unapologetic confidence, were now being reframed as arrogance or fragility. Sports analysts weighed in with varying opinions. Some defended Angel Reese, emphasizing that elite athletes often face nights where performance falls short, and that resilience is measured over time, not in a single contest. Others argued that leadership is tested most when things go wrong, pointing out that how she responded to adversity would define her as much as her talent. The conversation expanded beyond basketball skills to focus on mental toughness, emotional control, and the ability to maintain composure when scrutiny is highest. This elevated the narrative from a simple loss to a defining career moment. The media coverage also explored the broader implications for women's sports. Commentators highlighted the unique pressures female athletes face, especially those who command media attention and cultivate a public persona. Angel Reese, confident and outspoken, had always embraced visibility, but the intensity of the spotlight now magnified every era. Analysts discussed the challenges of being a role model while managing expectations, noting that the combination of skill, visibility, and personality often subjects female athletes to harsher judgment than their male counterparts. Fans were equally divided. Loyal supporters rallied behind her, sharing highlights of her past victories, citing her leadership in previous games, and urging the public to view the loss as a temporary setback. Critics, however, argued that the performance exposed flaws that had been overlooked, interpreting visible frustration as a lack of discipline. This polarization created a dynamic where every action or statement was scrutinized, further complicating Angel Reese's ability to control the narrative. Amid the controversy, Angel Reese maintained a controlled presence on social media. She posted messages emphasizing focus, perseverance, and growth, choosing words that reinforced resilience rather than defensiveness. These communications served as a strategic way to reclaim some control over the story, reminding fans and critics alike that one game did not define her abilities or potential. Her measured response contrasted with the chaos surrounding the incident, signaling maturity and self-awareness even under pressure. Internally, reflection became central to her preparation. Analysts noted that her film sessions were thorough, identifying mistakes, understanding breakdowns, and focusing on adjustments for future games. Mentally, she was working to compartmentalize the blowout while extracting lessons to strengthen her performance. These steps illustrated a critical aspect of elite athletes' development, the ability to learn from public setbacks and turn them into motivation for improvement. The narrative surrounding Angel Reese also influenced younger players and aspiring athletes. Discussions in schools, training programs, and online communities highlighted her as both a cautionary tale and an example of resilience. Young players were encouraged to study not only her victories but also her setbacks, understanding that navigating public scrutiny is part of becoming a professional. In this sense, the blowout loss had educational value beyond its immediate emotional impact, reinforcing lessons about composure, accountability, and persistence. As attention gradually shifted from immediate reactions to analysis and reflection, the story of the blowout loss began to evolve into one about potential redemption. Questions emerged about her next performance. How would she respond? Could she demonstrate growth and reclaim her narrative? Could she show mental toughness that surpasses mere technical skill? These questions added anticipation and tension to upcoming games, heightening interest in her development and creating a narrative arc that extended far beyond the single loss. Ultimately, the fourth chapter of this story is defined by contrast, between external criticism and internal support, between public perception and personal accountability, and between setback and potential redemption. The blowout was not just a test of skill. It was a test of character, resilience, and the ability to navigate the complex intersection of athletic performance and public scrutiny. Angel Reese's response in the days, weeks, and games that follow will determine whether this moment is remembered as a defining failure or a pivotal turning point in a career that still holds enormous promise. The aftermath of Angel Reese's blowout loss had settled into a tense quiet, but beneath the surface, the reverberations were still being felt. For Angel herself, the experience became a defining moment, not just for her career, but for her personal growth. The loss had exposed vulnerabilities, both on the court and in public perception, and now the challenge was transforming that exposure into an opportunity. She faced the difficult task of rebuilding confidence, reclaiming narrative control, and proving that one night could not define her legacy. In the locker room following the loss, teammates and coaching staff emphasized resilience. While the scoreboard told a harsh story, the focus was on process over outcome. Coaches broke down every play with meticulous detail, highlighting mistakes but also emphasizing moments where Angel had shown leadership, effort, and skill. The discussions were meant to be constructive, reinforcing that setbacks are part of the journey and that true growth often comes from adversity. Angel reportedly took detailed notes, asked questions, and engaged deeply in problem-solving. Her commitment to improvement demonstrated maturity, but also the pressure she placed on herself to turn the narrative around. Outside the team environment, media coverage continued to dominate. Analysts revisited clips of the game repeatedly, dissecting expressions, decisions, and reactions. Social media remained a battleground. Supportive fans praised her dedication and resilience, while critics used the same footage to question her composure and leadership. Memes, reaction videos, and opinion segments proliferated, each contributing to the ongoing story that extended far beyond the court. The blowout loss had become a lens through which every aspect of her persona was analyzed, not just her athletic ability, but her emotional intelligence, mental toughness, and public presence. Angel Reese herself navigated the media landscape with strategic poise. She posted thoughtfully on social media, highlighting the importance of learning from mistakes, staying focused on improvement, and maintaining a long-term perspective. Her messaging was deliberate, signaling to both fans and critics that she was aware of the scrutiny but remained committed to growth. This approach contrasted sharply with the narrative of vulnerability that the initial loss had created, demonstrating a conscious effort to reclaim control over how she was perceived. Mentally, Angel faced the challenge of compartmentalizing public judgment from her personal experience. The pressure of being a high-profile athlete means that every performance is amplified, and mistakes are rarely contained. For a young player, managing this dual reality requires resilience, self-awareness, and focus. Angel's ability to reflect critically on her performance, learn from it, and apply those lessons moving forward became as crucial as her physical training. Every practice, every film session, and every drill became an opportunity to reinforce confidence and mastery in a controlled environment. Fans and analysts alike began to frame the situation as a moment of potential transformation. The blowout loss, initially perceived as humiliation, was reframed by some as a pivotal learning experience, a chance for Angel Reese to grow stronger, smarter, and more adaptable. The narrative shifted from judgment to anticipation. People wanted to see how she would respond in the following games, whether she could demonstrate resilience under pressure, and whether she could turn adversity into a source of motivation. This anticipation elevated the stakes for every subsequent performance, making each opportunity to play a chance to redefine her story. At the same time, conversations about Angel Reese's influence expanded beyond basketball. Her experiences highlighted the challenges that young athletes face in navigating public scrutiny, expectations, and media pressure. Mentorship programs, sports commentary, and fan discussions began to emphasize that setbacks are part of growth, and that mental resilience is as vital as physical skill. In this sense, Angel Reese's journey became a teaching moment, illustrating the complexities of modern sports culture and the ways in which athletes must balance performance, perception, and personal development. The next games provided a proving ground. Every possession, every decision, and every interaction on the court carried added weight. Fans, critics, and media closely monitored her responses, searching for signs of growth, confidence, and leadership. The intensity was palpable, but so was the opportunity. Successes were celebrated as proof of resilience, while mistakes were analyzed as steps toward improvement. The interplay between expectation and performance underscored the high-stakes environment in which elite athletes operate. Throughout this process, Angel Reese demonstrated the capacity to navigate adversity with focus and determination. Her response to the blowout loss combined accountability, reflection, and strategic engagement with public perception. By focusing on controllable factors, effort, preparation, and attitude, she managed to reclaim some measure of control over her narrative. Observers began to recognize that this moment, while challenging, was also a testament to her character and potential. Ultimately, the blowout loss became a defining chapter, not because of the score, but because of what followed. Angel Reese's journey through scrutiny, reflection, and growth illustrated the resilience required to succeed at the highest levels of competition. The experience highlighted the complexity of modern sports culture, where performance, personality, and public perception intersect in powerful ways. How she navigated this period would inform not only her career trajectory but also her legacy, setting the stage for future successes, leadership opportunities, and continued influence both on and off the court. In the end, what began as a moment of humiliation evolved into an opportunity for growth, learning, and transformation. Angel Reese's ability to respond, adapt, and persevere demonstrated that setbacks, no matter how public or dramatic, can be catalysts for resilience and long-term success. Her story serves as a reminder that even in the face of defeat, strength, maturity, and determination can define the path forward, ultimately shaping an athlete's legacy far more than a single game ever could. If this story about Angel Reese's shocking blowout loss grabbed your attention, you're not alone. Moments like these remind us that behind every headline is an athlete facing real pressure, intense scrutiny, and the challenge of bouncing back stronger than ever. Angel Reese's journey isn't just about basketball. It's about resilience, growth, and the power of responding to adversity. If you want more in-depth breakdowns, behind-the-scenes coverage, and all the latest updates from the world of sports, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment. We also want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us, how do you think Angel Reese will respond next? Will she come back stronger? Or will this loss continue to affect her? Let's discuss. Your opinion matters, and the conversation doesn't stop here.